Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Lori, and this is episode 4 of 5 of boundaries, right? Now this one also needed its own episode because I hear people say all the time, people keep overstepping my boundaries. They do not. You allow this to happen. You are allowing people to overstep your boundaries. And let me explain what that looks like, okay? So you have to realize, especially since you probably are just kind of new to this boundary thing, like you haven't had, and whatever boundaries you've had, you might not have been steady in them, right? You might be like, I'll loan you money, but I don't loan you money, or I'll spend time with you. Like, you know, everybody gets a little wishy-washy, right? So in that space, when you are thinking that people are overstepping and not adhering to what it is that your needs are, they're going to try that. That's going to happen because this is new for them. You might be going through something, and don't be surprised if people are like, you okay? You going through something right now? Don't get triggered by that. They have a right to say that. Because now where you were readily available for your grandkids at the drop of a hat, and now you're like, hey, I'm not available Tuesday, they're going to be a little bit like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, can't you just do it? And you say, no, these are my boundaries now. I'm working on my boundaries. This is my boundary. I mean, okay, but I mean, daggone, I mean, I guess you don't like your grandkids anymore. People will pull out the manipulation stops. You can't get mad at them or be like, oh my God, why aren't they respecting my boundaries? In no way, shape, or form do you think, or nor should you think, that you say to somebody, or you say, you've now announced this all over the world. You've said, hey, everybody, I've got new boundaries now. And these are my boundaries. And you list all your boundaries. At no point are people going to go, oh, okay, mental note, got it. Okay, so you don't watch grandkids on Friday? Cool. Cool, if you tell me no, it's no, got you. You've lent me money for the last 20 years of my life, but now you're telling me you're not going to? Not a problem. No, you gotta, it's like a, not a retrain, because that sounds a little manipulative, but you have to allow yourself to establish the consistency. Because what if in the past, I'm sure you have in the past, you've said something and stuck with it for a couple weeks and then it just stopped. Well, that's not consistent. So what? So again, haven't you ever seen people who are like, they go, yeah, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that, and it's walls. And you're like, oh, okay. Till next week, and sure enough, it's next week. So you're going to have to understand that people are going to try their hands, but it's also because that's what has been allowed, right? You can't create an environment and then get mad when you change it like that. Essentially, to them, it's going to be like that. And now you've changed it, and you just expect them to be like, yeah, it's fine. No, because you wouldn't do that. You'd be like, oh, damn. And it, like I said, you may come off curt and rude to people. Not your problem. Okay, so when someone says, so let me give you an example of that. Let's say you said in the second episode when we were talking about establishing boundaries, let's say you said, I do not allow myself to be spoken to in a way that makes me feel uncomfortable, unsafe, or unproductive. Okay, so this is the things that you've told yourself. So you must hold that. I don't care if it's your boss. I don't care if it's your mom. I don't care who it is. You hold that. So your boss, let's use it like your boss. So your boss comes, I mean, you can tell your boss is going through a mood. He's having a bad day, whatever the case may be, or they're having a bad day, and they come at you and you just know. For one thing, you don't get on eggshells. I don't care that that's your job. No job is worth sacrificing your peace for. There are other jobs out there. It just might take you a minute to find them, but make an effort to do so, right? So in that case, your boss comes to you and just, you can tell he's just like really a little disrespectful. And like, I mean, it's like a scene. Like there's like 3 or 4 people looking and he's berating you a little bit. That's when you say, hey, hand up. I do not allow myself to be spoken that way. I do not allow myself to be spoken to that way. And if he keeps going, you'll walk away. If you get fired, ooh, there's probably a lawsuit in there somewhere. Okay? Even if it is at will state, because you'd have like people looking. Right? Here's the thing though, you got to hold that. And that's what we're going to talk about next episode, is holding your own boundaries. You worry about everybody else overstepping your boundaries. Well, you got to hold them, and you got to not overstep them. We get too worried about others. So you have to understand that you don't get to say other people push your boundaries when you're not holding them. And you must hold them for these people. For anybody. You're not holding them for them, you're holding them for yourself. So just because your boss is in a sort of power to give you money, to pay your salary and all those things, doesn't give them carte blanche. So you don't get to say, he oversteps my boundaries all the time. No, he does not. He's doing what he's normally going to do, and that's try to overstep them. You allow that behavior. You allow that behavior, not him. So you got to get very clear in that, because in order to establish the fact that you have that boundary, you must be willing to have a little bit of a confrontation. I don't mean be aggressive, because I'm a big fan of walking away. If somebody's screaming and yelling at you, let them win the day. 2 + 2 is 7, yes. Yep, and I'm going to hang up the phone and I'm going to walk away. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. They're not overstepping the boundaries. You're keeping yourself there to keep getting hit with the same stick and then getting angry that nobody is respecting your boundaries. Neither are you. Like, literally neither are you. So you have to understand, right, that if your boundary is no hugs, this doesn't mean that Uncle Billy gets to give you a hug just because he's your uncle. If you're not a hugger, then don't be a hugger, right? Now, you got to be okay with that. Because again, people will try their hand, but they can only overstep a boundary in which you allow. So listen, people are going to try to wear you down. I'm going to tell you that from the door right now at 6 minutes into this video. They will try. They will know your buttons. They will just try to wear you down and wear you down, wear you down. But you're giving them too much time to do that. You say it once and you're like, hey, you don't keep saying, hey, I don't allow myself to be spoken to that way. Yeah, you're allowing it. You say it once. You'll walk away and you hang up the phone. See, you can't say you want boundaries when it sounds cute and fun. Nah, you got to want boundaries all the way across the board, even when it's not cute and fun. And that's the imperative piece. So before you say, well, Mom, I tell her not to call me 3 times a day and she still does, you're answering the phone. Yeah, but if I don't answer the phone, she's going to keep calling. Block her for a few hours. Put her on ice. Block them, baby. Hang up the phone. And then when you do decide to call and she goes, I called you. Yes, mother. I told you I'm not talking to you every day. But I'm your mom. That's manipulation. You can't change her, but you can change your reaction to her. So again, your mom's not overstepping a boundary. She feels a little entitled because she feels like I'm your mother and do whatever I want, which is an untrue statement, but she feels as though she can. That's not going to change just because you say, hey, I don't want to pick up the phone, but once every 3 weeks. She's not going to listen to that. So you got to maintain that. It's a thing that I've always said. If I was to put, like for some bizarre reason, if I was to put a new fence around my entire house, but the entrance wasn't in the front, it was like in an inconvenient place, like way in the back. Like it's kind of like a dumb concept for most people. But if I was like, this works for me. I don't want anybody walking through my front. Okay, and you showed up to my house and you were like, this is dumb. This is dumb. First of all, I don't care if you like it. It's what I wanted. And so you walk in, you're like, well, that's new. Why'd you do it that way? It's just what I wanted. I'm not going to over-explain it. So now if you keep coming to the house and you keep complaining, that's on you. And I'm going to say, I'm not having this discussion with you. However, after 3 or 4 months, you're going to get used to that being there. You might not love it, but it's going to become a second thought. You'll just pull up, you'll just walk around back and walk right in the door. You'll forget all about it because you've like rewired and you've established what that healthy relationship looks like. So you can't establish a healthy relationship, think people are just going to fall in line. No, you must be consistent. And when you're sitting in your consistent practice of this, you have to be okay with letting people be angry with you. You have to be okay with letting people say, oh, you think you're holier than thou. You have to be okay with those things because that's just a natural human reaction from people who have had it a certain way with you. It's not their fault. It's nobody's fault. So it's up to you to reestablish, right? You got to move the needle. You got to like remold it, reshape that clay. You have that power. And guess what? You're in charge of this. Yep. They're not in charge of it. You're in charge of it. Like literally, you are in charge of these boundaries. No one else. No one else has to help you with them. It's not their boundaries. So again, get the narrative out of your head that every time I set a boundary, such and such doesn't listen. Okay, duh. Stop giving it life. Let them win. Oh man, she's a total jerk. I can't believe she does that. Let them talk. Baby, they're going to talk about you anyway. Let them talk. Okay, so you have to be willing to do that. So in order to know that they are not disrespecting your boundaries is to know that you are actually holding them regardless. And you can reiterate it, just don't reiterate it every day. Mom, I told you. Okay, that's not holding a boundary. That's re-explaining. Every now and again, you might have to be like, hey, just a reminder, like this isn't what I'm doing. After 2 or 3 times, they're pretty much going to get it. And if they don't, then you want to establish that new relationship. Don't be afraid to put people on ice. If somebody's calling you and you told them not to call you, or somebody's coming into the house and just walking in the door, change the locks, change the code. I don't care who it is. So, but see, that's what I'm saying. Are you willing to do the work to know that you're protecting your peace? Are you holding your boundaries? Because they're not going to adhere to them in the beginning because it's brand new to them. So, call to action on this one is I want you to ask yourself where you can hold your boundaries with others a little bit better. A little bit better. And that is your call to action.